Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like your body was changing faster than your spirit could keep up? Maybe you've noticed the way your legs feel a little weaker when you climb stairs, or how picking up a heavy grocery bag feels just a bit harder than it used to. It's frustrating, isn't it? Because inside you still feel young, still vibrant. But your body, it's telling a different story. What if I told you that one everyday habit, something you probably don't even think twice about, is quietly working against you? It's not just slowing you down, it's eating away at your strength, your independence, your freedom, and worst of all, it's completely preventable. Today we're going to talk about something called sarcopenia. That's the fancy medical term for age-related muscle loss. And if you're over 60, you are at risk. But here's the good news. You're not powerless. Not even close. In fact, with just a few small changes to your daily routine, you can fight back and feel stronger, more energized, and more alive than you have in years. So let's begin right where this all starts, with the choices we make every single day. Because those small repeated choices, they're either building you up or breaking you down. Now before we get into the silent habit that triggers muscle loss, let me ask you something. How much time do you spend sitting during the day? Be honest with yourself. Watching TV, reading the paper, sitting at the kitchen table, maybe scrolling through your phone or playing cards. It adds up, doesn't it? And that right there is the hidden enemy. Prolonged sitting, yes, sitting too much is one of the most dangerous habits when it comes to your muscles. It sounds harmless, but the science is crystal clear. When we sit for long periods, our muscles begin to weaken. They're not being used, and so the body starts to assume you don't need them. And what the body doesn't use, it starts to lose. This doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, like a slow leak in a tire. You won't notice it until one day you realize that lifting something feels heavier, or your balance feels off, or it's harder to get up from your favorite chair without pushing on the armrest. That's sarcopenia creeping in. But here's the empowering part. You can stop this right now. And you don't need a gym membership or fancy equipment. You just need to move consistently. Let's talk about your first daily change: intentional movement. I'm not asking you to start jogging 5 miles or lifting weights like a bodybuilder. No, I'm asking for something much simpler and far more powerful for where you are in life. Set a timer for every hour you're awake, and when that timer goes off, stand up, walk across the room, stretch your arms, do a lap around your kitchen or down your hallway. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Just a few minutes of gentle movement every hour signals to your body, hey, I still need these muscles. Keep them strong. And over time you'll notice the difference. More stability when you walk, less stiffness in the morning, even improved energy and mood. Speaking of energy, let's talk about your morning routine. Because how you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. One of the most overlooked habits that contributes to muscle decline is skipping breakfast or grabbing something that's mostly sugar and starch. You see, your muscles need fuel. And not just any fuel. Quality protein in the morning gives your body the building blocks it needs to maintain muscle mass. So here's what I recommend tomorrow morning. Try adding one protein-rich food to your breakfast. It could be a boiled egg, a small cup of Greek yogurt, some cottage cheese, or even a protein shake if that's easier. Something simple, something doable, but powerful. When you feed your muscles first thing in the morning, you're not just giving your body energy, you're sending a message to your entire system. We're not slowing down, we're still building, we're still strong. And here's something that often gets overlooked: hydration. I know it sounds basic, you've probably heard it 100 times. But let me explain why it matters specifically for muscle health. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes. We simply don't feel as thirsty as we used to, even when our body desperately needs water. And without proper hydration, your muscles can't function at their best. They become tight, weak, and more prone to injury. So here's your second simple habit. Start every morning with a full glass of water. Before coffee, before breakfast, just water. You've just gone 6 to 8 hours without any fluids. Your body is dehydrated, your joints are stiff, and your muscles are running on fumes. One glass of water in the morning helps rehydrate your entire system, improves digestion, boosts metabolism, and yes, it supports your muscles too. Over time, this habit becomes a ritual, a promise to yourself that you're taking care of the body that's carried you through so many seasons of life. Now I want to circle back to something really important. When people talk about aging, they often speak in terms of decline, as if it's all downhill from here. But that's a lie. Yes, the body changes with age, but so does your wisdom, your discipline, your understanding of what really matters. This phase of life is not about giving up. It's about leaning in. It's about recognizing that your health is a gift, and you still have time to shape how the next 10, 20, even 30 years will feel. So far, we've talked about sitting less, moving more, eating better, and drinking water. These aren't dramatic changes, but they are life-changing ones. You'll be surprised how quickly your body responds when you give it just a little bit of what it's been asking for all along. And we're just getting started. Because next we're going to dive into something that's just as important, if not more so than the physical, your mind. You see, strength isn't just found in muscles, it's in your memory, your focus, your ability to stay sharp, stay engaged, and continue learning new things. So stick with me, because in the next part we're going to explore how you can keep your mind just as youthful and powerful as your body. And believe me, it's easier than you think. Let's unlock that next level of strength together. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? Or maybe you find yourself searching for the right words during a conversation. Even though you used to be so quick and sharp, it can be frustrating, can't it? But here's the truth. This doesn't mean you're losing it, or that your best days are behind you. Not at all. It's simply your mind telling you, I need a little more care, just like the rest of your body. As we age, it's normal to notice some changes in how quickly we recall things or process information, but normal doesn't mean inevitable decline. In fact, your brain, just like your muscles, can stay strong, alert, and full of energy well into your later years. The key is giving it the right kind of exercise, attention, and stimulation. You see, your mind is like a garden. If you ignore it, weeds of forgetfulness and confusion start creeping in. But if you water it daily, plant seeds of learning, and pull out the weeds of isolation and routine, something incredible happens. It blooms. Let's start with something very simple, yet incredibly powerful: mental movement. Just like your body needs daily movement to avoid stiffness and weakness, your brain craves novelty and challenge. That doesn't mean you need to go back to school or memorize long lists of facts. It can be as easy as picking up a book you've never read, trying a puzzle, or even learning to use a new app on your phone. Every time you challenge your brain with something unfamiliar, you're helping it stay youthful. It's not about perfection, it's about stimulation. When you try something new, your brain literally forms new pathways. It's like building roads in a city that help you get from place to place faster. That's how you maintain sharpness, not by doing the same things over and over, but by stepping into unfamiliar territory, even just a little bit each day. And here's another trick that doesn't require any extra time, just awareness. Use your non-dominant hand. It might sound silly, but brushing your teeth with your opposite hand, or stirring your tea with your left hand, instead of your right, or vice versa, forces your brain to wake up and pay attention. These small changes light up different areas in your brain that might otherwise go unused. It's like waking up parts of yourself that have been sleeping. But mental strength doesn't come from solo activity alone. One of the most powerful yet overlooked ways to keep your brain healthy is connection. Let's be honest, aging can be lonely. Friends move, family gets busy, and it becomes easier to isolate ourselves. But loneliness isn't just an emotional challenge, it's a cognitive one. Numerous studies have shown that regular social interaction actually protects your brain from decline. Conversations, real conversations, make your mind work. You have to listen, think, respond, recall past events, use emotion, and express yourself. It's like a full-body workout for your brain. So here's a gentle but urgent suggestion. Reach out, call an old friend, visit your neighbor, join a local book club or walking group. If you can't get out, use video calls. The important thing is that you talk to someone who makes you feel seen, heard, and valued. And don't worry if the conversation isn't deep or perfect. laughter, even small talk can release brain-friendly chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine. These chemicals reduce stress and improve memory. In other words, joy is medicine. Now let's talk about something you might not associate with brain health, but it's absolutely crucial: sleep. You might have heard that older adults don't need as much sleep. That's not quite true. While it's common for sleep patterns to change with age, your brain still needs a full, restful night to clean up, process memories, and recharge. During sleep, your brain literally washes away toxins that build up throughout the day. Skimping on sleep is like never taking the trash out of your kitchen. You might manage for a while, but eventually, it becomes overwhelming. So make sleep a priority. Turn off screens at least an hour before bed. Dim the lights, create a calm routine. Maybe even write down what's on your mind before bed, so your brain doesn't carry it into your dreams. This isn't just about rest, it's about clarity, memory, and mental resilience. And finally, let's bring it all together with a mindset shift, a belief you may need to gently replace. There's a myth floating around that aging means decline, that forgetfulness means failure, or that it's too late to improve. But let me ask you something. Who told you that? Because it's not true. Your brain is still alive, still growing, still hungry for knowledge, connection, and challenge. You have wisdom that younger people haven't even begun to tap into. You've lived through so much. You've adapted, survived, and thrived across decades. Don't underestimate what your mind is still capable of. You are not fading, you are evolving. And with just a little daily effort, you can keep your mind awake, your memories sharp, and your identity strong. Start today. Read a new book, call someone you haven't spoken to in a while, try a crossword puzzle, laugh more, sleep deeply, believe in your ability to grow, because aging isn't about letting go, it's about digging deeper into who you really are and discovering what still lies ahead. Now that we've nourished your mind, let's talk about something just as vital, something we don't always speak about openly, but it shapes how we experience every day of our lives: your emotional well-being. What do you do when the days feel heavy? When you wake up feeling uninspired or weighed down by memories, regrets, or uncertainties? There's a quiet storm that lives inside all of us. It's not always loud, it doesn't always show, but it's there, swirling with feelings we haven't fully processed: grief, regret, guilt, loneliness, even fear. And as we grow older, that storm can become stronger, not weaker. Why? Because with every year we carry more memories, some beautiful, some painful, some unfinished. And yet, we're told to be strong, to move on, to not talk too much about what hurts. But here's the truth. Real strength isn't ignoring what you feel, it's facing it, holding it, breathing through it, and letting it teach you. You see, emotional health is not about being happy all the time. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about learning how to carry pain without letting it define you. Let's start here. Grief is not a weakness. Whether you've lost a spouse, a dear friend, a sibling, or even just the life you used to live, grief is not something you get over. It's something you carry differently over time. And some days it hits harder than others. When you hear a favorite song, when you pass by a familiar street, when no one else seems to notice the quiet space that person once filled. But grief is love that has nowhere to go. So give it somewhere to go. Write a letter to the one you miss. Speak their name aloud. Light a candle. Look through old photos. Let the tears come. Tears are not weakness. They're release. They're a river that clears space for peace to enter again. And don't be afraid to talk about what you feel. Find a counselor, a spiritual leader, a trusted friend, someone who can simply listen without rushing you. Your emotions are sacred, and every time you give them a voice, they lose a little of their power to hurt you in silence. Now let's talk about another emotion that steals joy from so many in later life: regret. If only I had taken that opportunity. I should have said it while I had the chance. I wish I had done things differently. Sound familiar? You're not alone, but regret is only heavy when you keep wearing it. The moment you sit with it, look at it honestly, and forgive yourself, is the moment it begins to lose its grip. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you missed some chances. But guess what? You also learned. And now, with the wisdom of hindsight, you have something so many others don't. The power to help someone else avoid your mistakes, to offer guidance, to live more consciously from this moment forward. That's called redemption. And it's not just possible, it's available to you right now. Here's a simple practice. Write down the top 3 regrets that still tug at your heart. Next to each one, write a lesson you've learned from it. Then write one small way you can turn that regret into a blessing for yourself or someone else. It could be as simple as calling someone you've been distant from, or mentoring a young person, or finally allowing yourself to do something you always put off, just because it brings you joy. Because joy matters too. And that brings us to the next part of emotional wellness. Permission to be happy. Sometimes, especially as we age, we start to feel guilty for being happy. If others are suffering, who am I to smile? If I've lost so much, is it okay to enjoy life again? Yes, it is. Joy is not disrespectful to your pain. It's proof that pain didn't destroy you. So let yourself laugh. Let yourself dance. Even if you're sitting in a chair, let yourself watch your favorite comedy, wear your favorite color, cook your favorite meal. Do it for the younger version of yourself who didn't know how. And do it for the future version of yourself, who will look back and say, I'm glad I didn't give up on feeling alive. You don't need permission from the world to enjoy your life. You just need permission from yourself. Now let's talk about something that unlocks deep peace in your soul. Gratitude. But not in the cliche way. Not just listing things you're thankful for, like a robot. I mean real gratitude. The kind that slows you down, softens you, and opens your eyes to beauty you once missed. Here's a practice. Every morning, before you check your phone, open your mouth or even get out of bed. Say quietly to yourself, thank you for this breath. Thank you for this body that still moves. Thank you for one more day. That simple act rewires your brain. It shifts you from scarcity to abundance. And when you approach your day with that energy, something changes inside you. You stop comparing. You stop regretting. You start noticing the sunlight on the floor, the warmth of your tea, the sound of birds, the smile of a stranger. That's where peace lives. Not in big events, but in tiny sacred moments that most people overlook. And finally, if you take nothing else from this section, take this. You are not a burden. You are not too old, too emotional, or too late. You are becoming still. Now today, you are a soul in progress. And every step you take to nurture your heart, no matter how small, is a step toward healing not just yourself, but the world around you. So please tend to your emotions with tenderness. Let them guide you, not define you. Let them open you, not close you. Because when your heart is at peace, everything else begins to fall into place. And now that we've restored your inner calm, it's time to talk about something equally powerful. Your purpose. Because even now, especially now, your life still holds meaning, and your gifts still matter. Let's begin with a question most people ask quietly, but carry in their hearts for years. What is my purpose now? You see, for much of your life, your purpose may have been clear. You raised a family, you built a career, you showed up for others, you pushed through pain, worked hard, sacrificed, gave, supported, and loved with your whole heart. But now perhaps the children are grown, the job is done, the house is quiet, and you wonder, what now? What am I here for? Let me tell you something. Purpose does not retire, it evolves. Just because your roles have changed doesn't mean your value has. In fact, now may be the first time in decades that you have the freedom, the space, the clarity to connect with something even deeper than what you once thought was your mission. So let me offer this: your new purpose might not be about achievement, it might be about alignment, about finally becoming the truest, most peaceful, most honest version of yourself, about sharing the wisdom you spent a lifetime earning, about giving back not out of obligation, but out of joy, about creating, writing, painting, teaching, mentoring, not because you have to, but because it fills your soul. Here's the secret. Your purpose is not found in activity, it's found in impact. In the invisible ripple you create by simply being present, awake, and intentional. Think about this. A kind word from you today could heal a stranger's heart. A story from your past could prevent someone else's mistake. A small act of generosity, a letter, a prayer, a meal, could change the course of someone's life. That's purpose, and it's not small, it's divine. And here's something powerful most people forget. Legacy is not what you leave after you die. It's what you build while you're still alive. Legacy is not a plaque. It's not a name on a building. It's the emotional footprint you leave in the lives of others. Think of the people who've shaped you most. The teacher who believed in you, the grandparent who sat quietly beside you in your darkest moment, the neighbor who always smiled, the friend who checked in when no one else did. These people may not have had flashy careers or millions in the bank, but they left a legacy because they made you feel something real. You can do the same. Here's how you start. Ask yourself these 3 questions. What do I know deeply that others still struggle with? What pain have I survived that could become someone else's roadmap? What small act could I do weekly that brings light to someone else's world? Maybe it's mentoring a young person who's lost their way. Maybe it's volunteering at a shelter or reading to children. Maybe it's simply calling someone lonely every Sunday and reminding them you're not alone. And let's not forget this. Your presence is more powerful than your productivity. The world doesn't need you to move faster. It needs you to show up more fully, to listen deeply, to see clearly, to speak truth, to remind people what matters most. Because here's a truth you can build your next chapter on. At this stage in life, your greatest gift to the world is your presence, your wisdom, and your stillness. Don't underestimate the energy you carry, your groundedness, your patience, your depth. That is medicine in a world that moves too fast and forgets what it means to breathe. And if you're thinking, but I'm not special, I don't have anything to give, let me stop you right there. You've lived through heartbreak, love, war, change, fear, growth, technology, and transition. You've learned how to endure, how to let go, how to love again. You carry decades of human experience that younger generations desperately need but rarely ask for. So don't wait for someone to invite you to be relevant. Claim your relevance. Speak your truth. Offer your insight. Stand in your quiet power. Now let me give you a powerful legacy ritual you can start today. The Wisdom Journal. Once a week, take 15 minutes to write down one life lesson you've learned the hard way. Write it as if you were speaking to your grandchildren or to your younger self. Example: what I learned about forgiveness after 40 years of bitterness. What I wish I had known about love at age 25. How I found peace after losing everything. Keep writing even if no one reads it today. One day someone will, and your words will outlive you. That's legacy. And don't forget, your purpose doesn't always look grand. Sometimes it's as simple as this: a smile that softens someone's day, a prayer that protects someone you love, a phone call that lifts someone from despair, a meal you make with love, a story you share that reminds someone they're not alone. That is contribution. That is purpose. That is the sacred work of the soul. So let's be clear, your age is not a limitation. It's a qualification. You've earned the right to lead, to speak, to shape the world with your presence. And you are needed. Now more than ever. The younger generations are starved for meaning. The culture is lost in noise. And your steady voice, your lived wisdom, your ability to see beyond the surface, that is what brings healing. This is not the end. This is your renaissance. You are not fading, you are ripening. And the seeds you plant now, through your words, your actions, your presence, will bloom in generations you may never meet. That's the power of legacy. That's the gift of purpose in later life. Let me tell you something most people forget after a certain age. You are not your body. You are not your memories. You are not even your thoughts. You are a soul, a timeless, ageless, eternal force. And that part of you, it doesn't wrinkle. It doesn't forget. It doesn't fade. It awakens. In fact, the later years of your life are not a slow decline into silence. They're a return to your highest truth. Why? Because with the noise of youth behind you, you can finally hear the whisper of God. You're no longer trying to prove, impress, or chase. You're finally ready to listen, to slow down, to feel, to receive. This is what spiritual awakening truly is. Not fireworks, not visions, but stillness. A kind of sacred calm that settles into your bones. You begin to realize you were never alone. You were always guided. Every step, even the painful ones, were part of a greater design. Now, let's get personal. Have you ever sat in your favorite chair, looked out the window, and felt that something greater is present? Maybe it was the way the sunlight hit the trees, or how quiet the room became, or the sudden memory of someone you lost long ago. as if they were sitting right beside you. That's not imagination. That's the soul remembering where it came from. Because here's the truth, no one talks about enough. As the body ages, the veil thins, the physical weakens, but the spiritual sharpens. The eyes may dim, but the inner vision becomes crystal clear, and that's a gift. This is why many elders experience moments of deep intuition, déjà vu, prophetic dreams, or even sudden surges of creative energy. It's the soul speaking louder because now you're finally ready to hear it. So what does this mean for you? It means this is the perfect time to deepen your spiritual connection, to return not to rules or dogma, but to relationship. To a quiet, personal, powerful relationship with the divine. Call it God, Spirit, Source, the Creator, whatever speaks to your heart. What matters is not the name. What matters is the presence. Here's how you begin. 1. Return to stillness. Every morning before the world gets loud, sit in silence for 5 minutes. No phone, no TV, no agenda. Just breathe. Let your soul catch up to your body. Let your spirit rise to the surface. 2. Reclaim prayer, not as begging, but as communion. Prayer is not a shopping list. It's a conversation. It's the soul remembering its source. Speak honestly. Speak simply. And then listen. Sometimes the answer comes as peace. Sometimes it comes as an idea. Sometimes it comes through someone else. But the answer always comes. 3. Read sacred words, not out of obligation, but out of nourishment. Whether it's scripture, poetry, or wisdom texts, let words of truth wash over your heart. They are reminders of what's eternally real. 4. Walk in nature, alone. Watch how the trees don't rush, how the birds don't worry, how the sky doesn't compete. Nature is the original cathedral. Walk through it like you belong, because you do. And most importantly, 5. Begin speaking to your soul, out loud. Yes, it might feel strange at first, but try it. Say things like, what do you need today, soul? I'm listening now. Show me what's mine to do. I trust the path, even when I don't understand it. The moment you do this, something ancient within you will awaken. Because here's what no one told you growing up. The soul doesn't get louder as you age. You just get quiet enough to finally hear it. And when you do, life changes. Suddenly you're not afraid of the future. You're not haunted by the past. You're not chasing or resisting. You're simply present. This is what peace feels like. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. Not perfection, but presence. Not more beliefs, but less fear. And that's the beautiful paradox. As your body grows older, your soul becomes younger, lighter, freer, closer to the source. Less attached to things that never mattered, more drawn to what is eternal. You begin to crave truth over comfort, silence over noise, love over control. Surrender over striving. This is what many sages call the second birth, not of the body, but of the soul. And you are in it right now. So if you've been feeling more emotional lately, or more reflective, or more drawn to God, to spirit, to meaning, it's not random. It's the soul calling you home. And when you answer that call, something sacred begins to shift. Fear softens. Forgiveness becomes easier. Love deepens. Gratitude becomes your first language. You become the kind of person who walks into a room and brings peace without saying a word, not because of what you know, but because of who you are. That's spiritual power. And it doesn't require robes, rituals, or perfect beliefs. Just one thing, a willingness to remember that you were never separate from the divine to begin with. You were always connected, always loved, always guided. And now it's your time to walk in that truth. This is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of your spiritual prime. You're not becoming less, you're becoming light. You've walked through storms, buried loved ones, watched dreams rise, fall and rise again. You've survived things that would break most people. And now, you sit here with more wisdom in your silence than some people have in their entire libraries. But here's the tragedy. The world has forgotten how to honor its elders. It glorifies youth, chases speed, worships novelty. And in doing so, it misses the goldmine of experience, perspective, and soul that only comes with age. But here's the deeper truth. Just because society forgot, doesn't mean your role is gone. You're not here to fade away. You're here to rise as a pillar. You're here to become what so many younger souls are desperate for. A grounded, calm, unwavering elder in a world addicted to noise. Think about it. How many young men are starving for guidance? How many young women need to see what grace, power, and dignity look like in real form? They're not looking for influencers. They're looking for anchors. And that's who you're called to be now. Not the center of attention, but the center of gravity. Let's go deeper. The 3 phases of the elder journey. 1. The keeper of fire. You carry stories that no one else remembers. You hold knowledge that isn't in textbooks. You've lived through eras, movements, transformations. Now is the time to pass it on. Start small. Tell a grandchild the real story of how your family came to be. Call a niece or nephew and speak life into their choices. Write down your lessons, not for ego, but for legacy. Because what you don't share dies with you, and the world loses another piece of light. Every time you speak with presence, someone listening says silently, "Thank God I needed that." 2. The guardian of the sacred. You've learned what truly matters. Not status, not things, but love, peace, purpose, faith. You've seen what happens when people chase the wrong things. So now you become a mirror. You don't lecture, you reflect. You show others the deeper truth just by how you live. You hold eye contact longer. You listen without trying to fix. You bless without needing recognition. You become a temple. People can enter just by being around you. And in doing so, you awaken a memory in others. That stillness is possible. That depth is real. That God is near. 3. The blessing giver. In ancient times, elders would bless the young, not with money, not with praise, but with presence. A hand on the shoulder, a prayer spoken quietly, a sentence that reshapes someone's entire identity. You still have that power. In fact, your words now carry more weight than ever. Why? Because they're not spoken to impress. They're spoken from a place of deep knowing. Never underestimate the power of telling someone, "You have what it takes. I see something strong in you. You're not alone. I've been there and I made it." These are not just words, they're lifelines, and you are the one holding them now. Let's be clear, this part of life isn't about sitting back and watching the world go by. It's about walking out your calling as an elder with fire in your spirit. And no, this has nothing to do with being a preacher, a guru, or a celebrity. It means being authentically you, with depth, with dignity, with presence. It means stepping into a room and making it calmer. It means smiling at a stranger and reminding them God still lives in people. It means praying quietly for a broken soul and knowing it made a difference. This is the invisible leadership the world is crying for, and you were born for it. Now let me ask you something. Have you been hiding? Have you believed the lie that you have nothing left to give, that your best years are behind you? Let me remind you, elders are not obsolete. They're oracles. The fire may have left your step, but it burns hotter in your voice. The sharpness may have left your muscles, but your spirit is a sword that cannot be dulled. You are not done. You are being called. So how do you rise into this next role? Here's the path. 1. Create sacred space. Make your home, your voice, your presence, a sanctuary. Whether it's your kitchen table, a local cafe, or a phone call, be the place where people can breathe again. 2. Speak blessings daily, every day. Bless someone with your words. Don't wait for the right moment. Text your child. Encourage your neighbor. Pray for a stranger you see struggling. Your words can rewire someone's life in 20 seconds. 3. Tell your stories. Start recording or writing one life story each week. Even if no one reads it now, it becomes your gift to the future. And more importantly, it reminds you of how powerful your journey has been. 4. Mentor quietly. You don't need a title to lead, just be consistent. Show up. Listen more than you speak. Offer truth when it's ready to be heard. And when you do speak, speak like someone who's walked through fire and came out with gold, because that's exactly what you are now. A soul with gold in its hands, fire in its chest, and light in its eyes. Your age is not a limitation, it is your initiation. You've earned this role. You are the elder, the guide, the legacy bearer, the quiet thunder. And when you stand in that truth fully, unapologetically, you don't just change your life, you begin to change the world.